Imagine a heat so intense, it feels like the air itself is vibrating. 45 degrees Celsius in the shade, no electricity, no fans, no cooling systems. Today, we hide in concrete boxes, consuming massive amounts of energy just to survive the afternoon. In Cairo alone, air conditioning accounts for over 60% of summer electricity consumption. The grid strains, blackouts roll through neighborhoods, and yet we call this progress. But 4,000 years ago, on the same banks of the Nile, the ancient Egyptians were living in a different reality. While we struggle with rising temperatures and climate anxiety, they had already solved the problem. They didn't just survive the sun, they mastered it. Their homes weren't just shelters, they were ingenious biological machines, designed to breathe, to cool, to protect. In a world where temperatures could swing 30 degrees between day and night, they created perfect equilibrium. Today we step inside a world where stone was for the dead and mud was for the living. Welcome to the forgotten secrets of Egyptian architecture. In the land of the pharaohs, there was a sacred distinction. Stone, granite and limestone was reserved for the gods and the afterlife. Temples and pyramids were meant to last forever, carved from the bones of the earth itself. But for the living, they turned to the river. Every year, the Nile flooded, depositing a gift, fresh, mineral-rich silt. The Egyptians called this black soil Kemet, the same word they used for Egypt itself. It was the source of life, and they transformed it into the foundation of their civilization. The Nile mud brick, or adobe, is one of the most misunderstood technologies in history. It wasn't a sign of poverty, it was a choice of pure thermal genius. Each brick was a mixture of mud, sand, straw, and sometimes animal dung, which acted as a binding fibre and prevented cracking. The bricks were sun-dried for weeks until they reached the perfect density. Unlike modern concrete, which absorbs heat and radiates it back like an oven, mud brick has a high thermal mass and low thermal conductivity. What does that mean? It works like a natural battery. During the brutal day when the sun beats down at 45 degrees, the thick walls, often half a metre deep, soak up the sun's energy slowly, molecule by molecule. The interior stays cool, sometimes 10 to 15 degrees cooler than outside. Only when the sun sets and the desert air turns chilly does that stored heat finally reach the inside, keeping the family warm through the cold desert night. It was a perfect zero-energy climate control system. Modern studies have confirmed what the Egyptians knew instinctively. Mud brick can delay heat transfer by up to 12 hours. It breathes, allowing moisture to regulate naturally, preventing the suffocating humidity you'd find in a sealed modern home. And when it finally reaches the end of its life, it returns to the earth. No landfill, no pollution, just dust to dust. Modern urban planning loves wide avenues and open spaces. Paris has its boulevards, New York has its grid. We build for cars, for airflow, for the illusion of freedom. But in ancient Egypt, that was a recipe for disaster. If you walk through the streets of Deir el-Medina today, you'll see houses packed together like cells in a honeycomb. The alleys are so narrow, two people must turn sideways to pass each other. Why? Because space was a luxury? No, because of the shadow. By building houses in tight clusters with narrow winding alleys, some barely a metre wide, the Egyptians ensured that the streets were always in shade. When the sun reaches its zenith at noon, the deadliest hour, the streets remain dark and cool. The buildings protected one another. They created a microclimate where the air remained several degrees cooler than the open desert just a few meters away. But there's more. The narrow passages created something called the Venturi effect. As wind funneled through these tight spaces, it accelerated, creating natural breezes that swept through the village. The Egyptians had accidentally invented passive wind tunneling, a principle we're only now rediscovering in sustainable architecture. And notice the construction, shared walls. By building homes side by side, Only 2 sides of each house faced the sun directly. The rest were insulated by neighbouring buildings. It wasn't just smart, it was a form of communal protection. Your neighbour's wall cooled your home, and yours cooled theirs. Architecture as cooperation. Compare that to modern suburbs, where each house stands alone. A solitary island absorbing heat from all sides. We didn't build cities for humans, we built them for cars. The Egyptians built for survival, but the real miracle was happening up here, on the roof. This is the Malkaf, or windcatcher, and it is one of the most brilliant pieces of engineering ever conceived. The Egyptians were the first civilization to master aerodynamics in architecture. These scoops, sometimes carved from wood, sometimes built from mud brick, were oriented to face the prevailing north wind. Look at the angle. It's not random, it's calculated to maximize airflow. When the wind hits the scoop, it's forced down a vertical shaft that plunges into the heart of the house. But here's where it gets clever. At the bottom of that shaft, the Egyptians often placed a basin of water, or hung wet reed mats, or even used charcoal soaked in water. As the air rushed down, it passed over this water, cooling rapidly and picking up moisture, a process called evaporative cooling. The now chilled, humidified air spread throughout the house, pushed by the constant pressure of more wind entering from above. It created a natural downdraft, a continuous stream of fresh, cool air circulating through every room. No moving parts, no noise, no energy consumption, just pure physics. This technology was so effective that it spread across the ancient world. Persians adopted it. Arab architects refined it. Today, modern sustainable architects are rediscovering the windcatcher, installing them in eco-buildings from Dubai to California. We're finally catching up to a technology invented 4,000 years ago, but the Malkaf worked in harmony with the rest of the house. Remember those high windows in the central hall? At night, they reversed their function. Hot air rose and escaped through them, while the windcatcher pulled in cool night air from above. The house breathed, inhaling, exhaling, alive. As night fell, the house transformed. The roof wasn't just a ceiling, it was the primary bedroom. During the summer, when even the thick walls couldn't fully banish the day's heat, families would take their mats and sleep under the stars to catch the night breeze. Imagine it, no light pollution, just the infinite dome of stars, the same stars that guided sailors on the Nile and priests in their temples. The roof was also a social space. Neighbours would visit, share stories, drink beer brewed from barley. It was the original rooftop lounge. But the darkness brought dangers. Scorpions, cobras, vipers, and mosquitoes were constant threats. In the tomb inscriptions, you can find prayers against the stinger in the night and the serpent that comes in darkness. These weren't metaphors, they were real. The Egyptians fought back with ingenuity and magic. They painted the base of their walls with blue pigments or lime wash, believing it repelled pests. Modern science suggests they weren't entirely wrong. The alkaline lime may have deterred insects, and the light colour reflected moonlight, making it harder for snakes to hide. They also kept cats, not just as pets, but as highly respected guardians against the creatures of the sand. Cats were sacred animals, associated with the goddess Bastet, protector of the home. Killing a cat, even accidentally, was punishable by death. To the Egyptians, a cat wasn't just useful, it was divine. At night, they slept under fine linen nets, an early form of mosquito netting, and burned incense made from myrrh and frankincense, which acted as both a ritual offering and a practical insect repellent. Survival required both science and faith, woven together like the threads of that linen net. We look back at ancient Egypt and see a primitive civilization. Mud huts, manual labour, no electricity. But as our modern cities overheat and our energy grids fail, we must ask, who was truly more advanced? In 2023, cities from Phoenix to Paris experienced deadly heat waves. Air conditioning demand soared. Grids buckled, people died. We're trapped in a vicious cycle. The hotter it gets, the more energy we consume to cool down, which generates more heat and more carbon emissions, which makes the planet hotter. We're fighting the environment, using machines to mask our mistakes. The Egyptians lived in harmony with their environment. They used the river, the sun, the wind, not as enemies to conquer, but as partners. Their homes consumed nothing but human labour and sunlight. They produced no waste, and they lasted not for decades, but for millennia. Some mud brick structures in Egypt are still standing after 3,500 years. How many of our skyscrapers will be here in 3,500 days? Today, a new generation of architects is looking backward to move forward. In California, they're building homes with rammed earth walls. In Australia, they're installing windcatchers. In the Middle East, they're reviving courtyard designs. We're finally realizing that the secret to our future isn't more technology. It's the wisdom we left behind in the mud. Perhaps the greatest lesson from ancient Egypt isn't about architecture at all. It's about humility, the understanding that we are not separate from nature. We are part of it. And if we want to survive the challenges ahead, we need to stop fighting the sun and learn once again to live with it. The secrets were never lost. We just forgot how to listen.